And I think that when you are genuinely passionate about something and you share that passion with others, that is something that people want to follow. And then you naturally find your place.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go. I know we have a number of you listeners who are solo entrepreneurs or you own your own creative or professional business. You don't want a full-time or a part-time job, but you're always on the hunt for new clients and customers. And that's easier said than done, which is why we created the directory. It's a place where entrepreneurs and businesses just like you can be found by those who are looking for your skills and services. Whether you are a photographer, a graphic designer, a business consultant, a marketing agency, a virtual assistant, an event speaker, an event planner, a lawyer, a bookkeeper, an accountant, you can see where I'm going with this, right? As long as you have a business that's based in the ag and Western industries, then you're a fit to be listed on the directory. There's a section where you can tell who you are and what you do. You can share your work portfolio or customer testimonials. You can add the specific platforms and programs that you're a wizard in. Those profiles that we have are really, really robust because we want people to be able to easily search and find what they're looking for, which is YOU. All in all, the directory is a great way to get in front of your ideal customer or client and a new audience that you maybe wouldn't have reached before because they're outside of your inner circle of who can mention your name in those word of mouth recommendations. If you're ready to create your profile on the directory, you can go to ofthewest.co to get started. That is ofthewest.co. You guys will love it. Trust me. We're happy to have you back for a brand new episode of Leaders of the West. And this episode is going to be a hot one. Literally. Today's guest is a force of nature and of fire. Jess Pryles is a live fire cook. She is a meat science expert, and she is the creator of Hardcore Carnivore. From launching one of the most beloved seasoning brands in barbecue to earning a graduate certificate in meat science. Yes, in meat science, Jess is the real deal. She grew up in Australia, fell in love with Texas barbecue, and 10 years ago, uprooted her life in Melbourne and moved to Austin, Texas. We talk about brisket, we talk about business, and what it takes to build serious credibility in a male-dominated world. If you love barbecue, if you love business, if you love badass women who are making waves, this episode is for you. Okay, Jess, let's get into this. You've gone from Australia to Austin. How did this happen? Set ourselves up. What are you doing here in America now? You've built this incredible brand. How did you come across the pond?
And it's funny because I've just celebrated my 10th anniversary over here as well. I moved straight from Australia to Austin. And I tell people that I moved for the barbecue and they think that I'm joking, but
You're really not.
it's actually the whole impetus behind it. So it was, on a trip to Texas that I'd gotten really into eating barbecue like so many of us are. And kind of went back and forth, fell in love with Texas at the same time too. Australians are really good travelers, Jessie. So because we're in our little corner of the world, we go everywhere else.
Right. Well, in Australia, it's not it's a big place. You've got to travel to go places.
Yeah, but generally we leave the shores pretty well because the closest, even New Zealand's 4 hours away by flight. So Australians are great travelers. I kind of fell in love with Texas, kept coming back, kept eating more barbecue, wanted to know how barbecue was made. And eventually it just got to the point where I really wanted to live here and also just see what it would be like to be a small fish in a big pond because the entire population of Australia is the same as the state of Texas.
Wow.
So it's small. Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay, so when was the first time that you came to Texas? Do you remember that trip?
I think it was 2008, around then. And I remember it really clearly. The thing you do when you come to Texas is you have barbecue as a tourist, right? So someone took me to a place that doesn't even exist anymore called Art's Rib House. And I ordered these massive, what I now know were beef back ribs. And honestly, by today's standards, they're not even particularly good barbecue. But
at the time.
Yeah, at the time it was amazing. It really was. I'd never tasted anything like that before because we didn't have American style barbecue in Australia, so I remember that meal vividly. And then when I would come back, someone took me to Lockhart, which is this very town south of Austin that's known literally as the barbecue capital of Texas. So I just kept going on all these great eating experiences, and Lockhart is like living history. So you walk in and there's just soot on the walls and indoor fires, and it feels like you've just walked into a set somewhere. It's so cool. So all that resonates.
Wow. Okay. So obviously you were familiar with meat when you came to America and ate barbecue, but how did that first experience, how did it change your perspective on cooking meat?
So I'm actually really glad you brought that up because I tell my story a lot and I forget to give context. And the context is that I didn't actually know anything about meat. I loved eating meat, but I really didn't know anything about it. I grew up in a household that ate meat, but we just kind of got a delivery from the butcher every couple of weeks. So I never really knew how to choose meat at the grocery store. Melbourne is a 5 million person, very urban, very non-ag city. Only saw animals once a year at the Royal Melbourne Show, which is like our version of the state fair. And I did not know how to choose meat. So if I was making a stir fry, I would buy stir fry strips. And if I was making kebabs, I would buy pre-diced beef. And I loved eating steak. I just, there were too many instructions on how to cook it and too many conflicting directions. And it was an expensive mistake to make. So I just left it until I was would eat out at restaurants. And honestly, I'm not going to bore you with the long version because I've talked about it so much, but in coming to Texas and learning more about barbecue, I tried to go and create a brisket back in Australia at some stage. I was like, this is okay. I can do this in my oven. First mistake, right? And I went to the butcher and I asked them for a brisket and they handed me this bag that was way smaller than what it should have been. And it had this very thin piece of rolled meat in it. And I was like, how can it be that if I ask for a brisket in Texas, I get a completely different product? And that was the pivotal point for me where I'm like, I am sick of not knowing. I'm sick of not understanding. I'm sick of standing at the meat case going I don't know, I'll get the stir fry strips again. And that led me down this path to want to understand more about meat and butchery and cuts and live fire cooking at the same time.
And where did you start with that? Did you dive into Google, YouTube University? Where did you first go for that knowledge and kind of how did you expand on it over time?
Well, any of your listeners who are elder millennials like I am, and that's being generous because I'm a 1980s baby, AT, is the internet in 2008 is not what it is today.
Not at all. Nor was YouTube.
Right. There wasn't much out there. And I actually went in to my local butcher shop and there's big mom and pop butchers in Australia. So he would get carcasses in and let me watch him break them down, and he would explain it to me too on the days that the market was closed, but he was getting the carcasses in. So I learned a little bit that way from butchers, and then Twitter was really hot back then. So I started connecting with people because there weren't too many people. There's so many people online now, but back then it was a much smaller community. And there were a lot of women in ag who were on Twitter at the time who sort of saw that I was looking for answers and connected with me. And I'm still good friends with a lot of them to this day and still learn off them.
So then when did you move full-time? You said 10 years ago. So that would be 2015. So from 2008 to 2015, what did Jess plus barbecue plus Australia look like?
I was traveling to Texas at least once or twice a year because two things were happening. I was obsessed with the barbecue and the learning piece. And then I'd really just fallen in love with Texas. And I would come back and see friends that I had made here. It wasn't a guy. He didn't come till later, just to be clear. And then I would go home and barbecue was just starting to become a thing in Australia. So all of a sudden, I'm this person who has all this knowledge about Texas barbecue in this country that wants to learn more about it. So I started, kind of being the media reference and hosting barbecue competitions and doing events and stuff like that. And I would just get my hands on as much as I could. I mean, again, these women in ag that I connected with, even got me at one point to this rural processing facility because I was like, I don't want to, but I should probably see a kill floor. I should probably see a slaughterhouse. And I remember doing that for the first time. And that's not something that they bring everybody into, like it's not an open arms kind of situation. But I think I was so earnest in my desire to learn. And I think the biggest thing for me with the meat industry is a lot of us grow up in the city with this idea of like what really goes into sausages, like, ew, what aren't they telling us? And there's this sort of fear, and you see it in so many reels and TikToks of like, ew, what's in this meat? Ew, what is this? And it's like something completely natural. So with that sort of fear and that mistrust that we're taught to have in the meat industry, I was so pleasantly surprised to see all these people just really willing to tell their story and that it's actually very transparent and traceable. And so that sort of fired up the social justice warrior in me as well. I was like, God, this is ridiculous. Like, why have I been so afraid of it all these years, And yeah, powerful.
That is amazing. And now here we are again, year 2025. You've also created Hardcore Carnivore, which is such a recognizable brand. So how did that come about? What really inspired you to create it? And how did you turn your passion? I mean, basically you turned a passion for meat into a full-fledged business.
I did. I'd already had this following online because I was posting about the meat stuff I was learning and I was posting recipes and I was just sort of building a community inadvertently. Again, this was in a time before you said, I'm going to be an influencer. That word didn't even exist back then. It was just, I love to write. I love taking photos. I was sharing everything with everyone. And at some point I was like, it'd be really cool. I would really like people to be able to taste what I think seasoning, like a steak seasoning should taste like go the step beyond my recipes, but I also don't want to open a restaurant right now, at least. And so that's how the seasoning came about because I'd been making this one at home and I thought maybe other people would like it. And it couldn't have been more of a smaller organic project. And now here we are 9 years after the business launched. We've got 11 flavors in the line, a sauce, accessories. We're sold all over the world. So for the first 2 years, it was just one seasoning.
Wow. That is impressive. And it's not just seasoning and barbecue sauce. And I mean, you have done television and all of these other things. So how did you know what or where to expand when you did?
It's a great question. And honestly, a lot of it is a little bit of like, trust the process. If you build it, they will come. And I know that sounds so nebulous, but I really did not have a plan. Like I said, being an influencer didn't exist. I knew I wasn't going to have a restaurant, but I knew that I could be on camera. I was confident in public speaking. And at the same time as all that stuff, I really was continuing to learn. So I was doing things like, I did Beef 101 and 706 with the Texas Beef Council. And I would try and go to as many sort of info sessions and read things online and just learn as much as I possibly could. So at the same time that I was putting myself out there to be available for all these events, I was kind of backing it up with knowledge and really learning, how to barbecue and how to smoke and how to be a live fire cook and sharing the good and the bad along the way. And I think that when you are genuinely passionate about something and you share that passion with others, that is something that people want to follow. And then you naturally find your place, I guess I would say.
No, I think when you are able to lead with passion, people can feel that. Even if it is through a screen, people know when you're passionate about something and they know when you're not passionate about something. And you are going to be far more successful if you are talking and sharing about things that you actually like or that you actually use or that you actually care about versus when you're not.
100%. And it's hard. It's hard when you start out and you get, maybe it's your first big brand deal or an offer in your inbox and you're like, oh, but I haven't tried this before, but also this is what it takes. I mean, we're talking much more about the social media side of things. And I think it's harder than ever before, especially for younger creators coming up with all the stuff that they're offered. Keeping integrity is really, really difficult. And I guess I'm lucky. I guess I got it just from how I was raised and my folks that ethics have always been important to me, which is also why at some point, I guess I decided I wasn't busy enough, with the cookbooks and the TV shows. I ended up going back to school at Iowa State University and doing an online graduate course in meat science because I felt like I knew a lot and wasn't getting credit for all of it. But also, it was just really important to me to share information that was correct, which I feel like is pretty rare online these days.
No, it is. So how has that formal education influenced your approach to not only to cooking, but then also to teaching others? Because you do have that, like you said, to back up your credibility.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, especially as a kid who didn't do much science at all in high school, to then go back and be talking about mitochondria. It's oh my God, what have I done? So I had a base understanding, which honestly, I think just helped me and my passion more than anything. I just really enjoyed learning it. I don't think it necessarily changes too much of how you cook that particular course.
Right.
I think any other successful woman like yourself out there can sort of agree, we've got a little bit of a harder push as women. And I think that having the right certifications just helps you shut the haters up a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with that as far as it sucks that it is that way, but it helps you be taken as seriously as you should be taken.
Yeah, I think so. And now there's such a pressure to create and put posts out there, the way in which things have had to morph, So I never used to put photos of myself on my Instagram ever. I was like, it's going to be about the food. I'm going to be taken seriously for my food. And then all of a sudden Instagram changes. They're like, oh, also now we want you to post more. And also now we want videos. And also now the videos have to be the majority of what you post. Also, you have to be in them. So the landscape just morphed a lot. And now my content has really shifted to things that I like. So, one thing that I think we both have in common, which is part of why I was so excited to follow you, is the Western fashion thing. I have loved that since I moved to Texas and really leaned into it. I feel like I didn't have any fashion sense until I got older as well. And now I'm loving it. And so I post some of that stuff as well because I genuinely love it and am passionate about it. And I think if you have to post 3 to 7 times a week, you got to post about things that make you happy. And food makes me happy, but cooking with the pressure of just videos to post does not make me happy.
No, that's literally creating art just to create it for the medium, not because you want to create it or feel called to create it. Well, and I think that because I've definitely struggled with this in the past of, well, I'm a business owner and I own, a jobs platform that works across the US and I am a serious entrepreneur. Who am I to be sharing fashion on Instagram, right? There's part of me that, well, can I actually do both and still be taken seriously? But at the same time, I think that, because it definitely depends on what you share, right? If I was sharing things that were maybe looks that were maybe a little less appropriate, then yeah, people would question and, probably rightly so, right? But I think a lot of it comes from always being rooted in who I am and the professional side of that. I am somebody who, when it comes to fashion, I like to look classy. That is, I think that if somebody were to ask you, what is Jessie Jarvis' style? They would say, she always looks classy. And I think that transitions into professional wear, which then goes back to Of the West and a job platform and how so many people now do not take pride in their appearance and they don't show up to work wearing the attire that they should, and they don't know how to dress for a job interview and all of these things. And so there is definitely a connection. But the other thing that I think is really interesting is for many people, specifically women, fashion is the thing that unites us, right? So somebody may find me because I recommended a great pair of jeans, but, I was also looking for a job. I had no idea that Of the West was a thing. And so now, because I shared a pair of jeans on Instagram, we now have a new job seeker through Of the West who, gets a job and it makes an employer happy because we found them. So I'm sure the same thing with you when it comes to, yes, I am somebody who is known as the barbecue queen, and here I am sharing fashion, but now I have a follower who likes to eat barbecue, but was like me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, where I was so overwhelmed at the meat counter and I knew nothing. And the only time I would ever cook a steak was when I ordered it at a restaurant, and I can help her and provide value for her.
There's something that feels really authentic about it as well. Like 80% of my audience is male just because of the topic. You know, if you're going to talk about barbecue and meat, that's usually a dude thing, frankly. And I got so nervous the first time I started sharing like outfit posts and stuff like that, because I was like, ugh, these are not thirst traps. Don't get me wrong. I am too old and too tired for that kind of jazz. But I really just I was like, you know, I like it and I want to share it. And then these women started coming out of the woodwork that had always followed me but never really commented. And they're like, oh, and then you feel like you're at brunch with your girlfriends and going like, oh my God, you've got to try this blush that I just tried. And it's like this nice kind of sharing community thing. So for me, it's been really nice to open up past that typical like, oh, yo, that looks fire. That looks sick. That steak is perfectly cooked, which I appreciate for sure. But to open it to a real online community where you're sharing a lot of different things has been really good mentally as well.
And I think the other thing that is really important to think about, one, when it comes to what's the type of content that we want to consume, and then also what's the type of stuff that we want to create. There are very few accounts that I follow where they only focus on one thing. And I know we've all heard this time and time again, is that you've got to niche down, and I disagree with that. I think if somebody is only coming to me for one thing, they are going to be bored after a while. And I want to be the all-around cowgirl, if you will, who can be on all ends of the arena or all ends of life and be relatable or be funny or have some kind of connection, because, I mean, variety is the spice of life. So I think that there is a lot that can be said about having variety that then captures people who you wouldn't necessarily expect or wouldn't necessarily get, and kind of like bringing them in under the fold.
Yeah, and there's an authenticity to it as well. And like, if you hit on that, what you were talking about, like staying in this one lane where like maybe all your videos start the same way and you just have this really narrow topic that you can talk about, you will start to get obsessed with your views and engagement instead of just enjoying it. And trust me, as someone who has been I've been posting for nearly 15 years. It's nonstop. It's exhausting. I've never taken like I'm going to take a month off. It just hasn't happened in all that time. And what has to change in order to do that is you have to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine that if I were just posting about barbecue still and not, anything else with the rate that I'm expected to post now, you start looking at the numbers and you start like looking back at the videos that did well for you, and then you try and recreate those, and then you lose authenticity. And that's everything. And then you just start reposting, and like it's this vicious cycle. And for me, there was also a decision where, TikTok came along. I'd already had an account for quite some time on IG that was doing okay. And all of a sudden, all these people who just started their accounts are like zooming into the millions. And I had to have a really frank conversation with myself of like, okay, are you being left behind? Like, is it over for you? Were you part of the old guard? Is this now changing? And one thing that I decided, which is part of everything we've talked about, was, there's a lot of people online who can barbecue and in real life who can barbecue well, who can put on a black t-shirt and slap some ranch on a bread roll and slap their meat before they cook it. And the reality is there's a lot of meat accounts that you probably couldn't tell me the name of the person who runs it, or even maybe the name of the account, because they're so homogenous and they kind of do all the same thing because that's what gets some views. But at one point I decided that no one else can be me. And so I was going to lean into being me, because I'm the one who gets the TV shows and I'm the one who gets invited to host events, and I'm the one that people choose to follow, not just for my recipes. And that also helped me a lot in being more comfortable posting things that were more broadly about my life.
Well, and you are more than just cooking. You are more than just barbecue. I mean, I know, Jess, yes, we would question that, right? But like, no, you really are. We are all very multifaceted people. So I think it is important to show that variety and the uniqueness of our lives, because again, I may not connect with you on these other things, but I may connect with you on the one random thing that you shared. And so that again, that's what we want is connection. We want people to know who we are, not that we're just the guy who slaps the meat before we, do whatever it is that we do with it. So
Right.
I think that there's a lot that can be said about that.
Yeah, I do too. It's an interesting time and things are moving at a faster pace more than ever before. Like we're seeing that cycle of rising and falling. And so to view it as a marathon, the long game, I think that's key at this point.
No, it absolutely is. So on that note, if somebody is thinking of starting a business or following their passion or whatever it may be, where would you tell them to start? Think of you in your early days of sharing online and Hardcore Carnivore. What's some advice that you would give somebody?
Yeah, I had no idea. To this day, like my area of expertise still remains in product development and marketing. But the actual running of the business side, that was a steep slope. Like, I'm like, wait, what's logistic? What's an LTL? What's a truckload? So that was fun. And that's not the stuff that interests me. So put yourself out there, hustle really hard. And then the best advice, which is maybe not for starting out, but it's going to happen soon after you start out, is build a really good team around you. And that's something I should have done faster. I'm in a great spot now, but I was trying to do too much myself. And you are only selling yourself short when you do that. So I think it's recognizing people around you who can help you, who are great partners or just great to have in your orbit, and like keeping them close, and delegating is something that I really struggled with, that I would tell everybody to do where possible.
Hiring a team is absolutely huge. And it's one of those things that is so daunting, especially when you are an entrepreneur. You are the only person, you are the janitor, you are the president, you are every single role in your business, because there are so many different directions that you can hire. And it can be really overwhelming to say, okay, what is going to move the needle furthest for me? I need 5 different people. What is the role that I should hire now? I think that is very, very overwhelming for people, but I've never heard of somebody who has hired and regretted that. They may have regretted their first hire as the person that they hired, but I have never heard of anybody regretting expanding their team so that they can continue to stay in their zone of genius and do what they love.
Exactly. And I guess exactly your point. Like, I've hired incorrectly. We've had staff come and go. But the point is, once you have that person for the first time and you can start separating in your mind what you can get rid of, just that alone is enough to make you feel better, even if you have to find the right person who you can give that stuff to. It changes everything. It really does.
Oh, it does. Okay, we're getting kind of close on time. I know you've got a lot of things to do. However, we have rapid fire round questions. Before we get to those, we can't let you go without a little bit of barbecue advice.
Sure.
You have a cookbook. It is packed with 100+ meat recipes. Do you have a personal favorite recipe? That's kind of like asking somebody about their favorite kid, I know, but like, why does it stand out to you? What is the biggest mistake you see people making with meat? How do we avoid it? Like, what are your tips and tricks for us?
Oh my goodness. Well, the cookbook's about 7 years old and I'm actually writing my second one, which is going to be out next year. So I'm so excited about that, but my head is in that game. And I honestly can't choose one single recipe. I know that sounds horrible. Like, and this is so random, but there's a jalapeno sauce recipe in there that is one of the most popular recipes I've ever put out, which you can put with meat. So you never know, right? But I think especially if people are starting off, the biggest thing that I tell them is they're going to need a meat thermometer, because it's the best way to take the guesswork out of it. Like the whole like squeezy palm doneness thing, that's in the past. You can tell exactly when your steak is done and also exactly when your meat is safe when it comes to things like chicken and ground meat too. So that's where I like to start people, because it just gives you, this confidence in your hand that you know what you're doing. And then I'll say this, if you are not grilling over charcoal, you need to start, because it's going to change the way that everything tastes. And it's not as hard as you think it is.
Okay, charcoal. I will say it's probably been like 9 months, maybe even a year ago. I did switch all of our inside pans to cast iron.
Ooh.
And that has also changed the flavor game, because
Right?
I used to be a total grill snob. I would not eat a hamburger unless it was grilled. I am not going to cook a hamburger in an oven. I'm not going to cook it on the stovetop.
Good for you.
A hamburger on a cast iron, though, in the winter when it is like 10 degrees outside and you can't get your grill to warm up, there is really nothing better. Like cast iron, even if you have to cook inside, I think cast iron changes the game when it comes to the taste of meat.
I agree. And Yeti just came out with a bunch, which I know seem ridiculous, but they bought this old, have you seen them?
Yes.
They bought this old company that had the most amazing cast iron called Butterpat. And they are like a vintage Wagner or Griswold quality, but they're new. So they're like heirloom pieces. So I've been cooking a lot on those. And you can, yes, like the better quality, the better.
I also saw that they have stainless steel.
Yes. Bowls.
Bowls. Gosh, why was I having a hard time with that word? It's bowls, but like with locking lids and yes. No, I'm so excited about that.
I just got those last week because I was like, how did they not think of this earlier? Like you want to keep salads cold and crisp, put it in that and you can, and I made queso the other day and I filled it with hot water first. So it was just like when you fill the cooler with hot water to heat it up if you're going to use it as a hot box. Man, that thing stayed liquid for hours. I'm like, screw the coffee, man. Where were the food bowls the whole time? Honestly.
Okay, well, if you guys haven't gone to check out Yeti, I guess this was a free advertisement for them, right? No, yeah, Yeti.com.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm going to have to tell them that, they're going to need to send you stuff after this for sure.
Okay, questions from a rapid fire round. This is one specific for you. Then the rest of them are questions that we ask all of our guests. First question, though, what is your favorite cut of meat?
At the moment, it's a top sirloin cap or a picanha.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to cut it into steaks and I'm going to grill it with Hardcore Carnivore Black.
Ooh. Okay, what do you hope people remember most about you?
That I contributed something instead of just taking from the world around me.
Oh, that is powerful. That is very, very important. You've got to give if you want to receive.
Yeah, exactly.
What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Now that I am in my 40s, a quality bed. I struggle like in camp bed situations anymore because sleep is so valuable.
What is your go-to bed?
I don't have like a fancy brand or anything like that, but I have nice sheets and I need like the right pillow. I was at an event in New York with a bunch of us all kind of the same age and we're all like, oh, did you see the pillows in the room? Yeah, they're not good pillows.
I will tell you, I used to sleep phenomenally in a hotel and now I sleep like trash in a hotel because do you remember way back when you'd go to a hotel and the blankets were so heavy, it was like you were wearing like
a weighted blanket.
The weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Yes. And the pillows were these big fluffy pillows. And now the pillow that they give you is supposed to be, it's like it's meant for your couch. It is not large. It is not fluffy. The blankets are thinner than your sheets.
And another sheet and a sheet. And you're like, where's the warmth? Where am I supposed to get cozy in? I get it. This is the problem, you see?
It's not just me. Okay.
No.
Okay. That makes me feel better. If you were a professional athlete, what would your walk-up song be?
I have actually had to choose a walk-up song before, and it would be Firewoman by The Cult.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
That does fit. What is the smartest thing somebody has ever told you?
That the most valuable resource that you will ever have is time. So use it wisely.
Yes. Okay, last question for you. Favorite things. Do you have a favorite book or a podcast, a program, a life hack, maybe a life hack in the kitchen, something that has changed your life in some way that you think more people need to know about?
This is going to sound really random, and I don't know why I thought of this, because it's just one of those little things that's a life changer. Oh, do I even want to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Tell us.
No, it's totally bougie. Like, we were building this kitchen. We remodeled this house. And my mom's like, trust me, put a second little sink next to your sink. I was like, okay, why? Because now when you drain your dishes, they're below on a sink. And if you're OCD like me, and if you don't want the counter to be clean, the dishes are drying in the drying sink. I know that's terrible.
No, that's not though. I like that.
It's one of those things that is like, it gives my mind peace when I like everything to be clean, to not see everything all the time. So that's one of my kitchen hacks for sure. And then also protein powder in coffee, instant protein iced coffee.
Okay. What's your go-to protein powder?
I'm using BPN Nutrition. He's out of Austin. What I love about him, Nick Bear, is he's super fitness guy. He's got a bunch of supplements, but he also loves to eat. And he'll like unapologetically be like, no, I'm going to have steak and butter and all of the things because this is what makes me happy. I'm not just eating for like pure nutrition because I do that the rest of the time.
Right. Not just living straight off of protein powder. We're actually eating real food.
So I love the balanced approach and they taste really good.
Okay. What's your favorite flavor?
I use the vanilla just because I put it in the coffee. Otherwise, I'm a chocolate person.
Okay. I'm a vanilla girl, so I love that. Okay. Where can people follow you online? Where can they buy Hardcore Carnivore? Give us all the details.
You can find me on all of the things under my name, which is Jess Pryles, Pryles. And there's jesspryles.com where I have a lot of recipes and hardcorecarnivore.com. You can obviously buy it there. You can buy it on Amazon, but we're also if you're in Texas, we're in H-E-B, we're in Buc-ee's, Academy, Cabela's, Bass Pro, and a bunch of independent retailers. You can actually go to the Hardcore Carnivore site and find a dealer locator because we're in some great little butchers as well if you like to support mom and pop too.
Oh, heck yes. Okay, Jess, this has been so wonderful. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
Hey,
you are awesome. I'm definitely going to think of you the next time I am cooking, grilling, doing anything.
We will, because I'm going to send you some stuff and you have to tell me which flavor you like best.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Great.
Okay, you guys know we will be back here next week. Brand new episode coming right at you. Jess, thank you for today. You guys make sure you go follow her. Go get some cooking tips. Go get some fashion tips because we know she's slinging those too. Have a great day. We'll catch you next week.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.